Hey everyone, Joe Waxman here, mediocre astrologer. Man, he's okay. What's up, everyone? Hey, today I want to try and make a pretty quick video. I don't want to take too long, but this one is actually astrology related. It's about Candace Owens. She doesn't have a birth time, but I'm going to tie two things together. So I'm not going to belabor this. I want to get this um, done, just because I think it's important to get to the point and to not waste anyone's time, including my own. But I want to read this thing written about Candace Owens and then look at her chart and just try and make a little bit of sense out of some stuff. So, Goodbye, Candace, a statement by the David Horowitz Freedom Center. 6 years ago, the David Horowitz Freedom Center invited then little known Candace Owens to its annual Restoration Weekend gathering of conservative movers and shakers. At this conference, she met Charlie Kirk and connected with the nationwide organization Turning Point USA and became a national figure. Candace began giving platforms to anti-Israel voices like Andrew Tate, a Muslim convert who said ISIS are the real Muslims because ISIS do exactly what the book says. Andrew Tate, just let me interject for a minute, is a very polarizing figure. I actually agree with some of the things he says and very much disagree with plenty of the things he also says. So, in any case. Um, and same with Candace Owens. I liked her for a long time and I agreed with a lot of her things. Then I saw another side to her and I was like, whoa, okay. All right. The David Horowitz Freedom Center has previously criticized Candace's promotion of Tate, but because of our history with Candace and our hope that she will pull out of the spiral, we did not make an issue of it. The atrocities of October 7th, the appearance of ignorant moms in the U.S. chanting Hitler was right and supporting the Hamas terrorists, and Candace's moral equivalence about these neo-Nazis have changed the stakes. We have decided to issue the present statement because of her recent promotion of Hamas genocidal lies. Let me interject for 1 second. She really was not like, so like when Kanye West came out with all this anti-Jewish hate, she stood by him, right? And then with the Hamas massacre and everything like that, she was really not a supportive voice of Israel or the Jews, quite the opposite. And she said some really, I know she knows she's a public figure, so she watches what she says, but she was not a fan of Israel or the Jews, really. Um, for example, she falsely compared Israel to the segregated South. There's a sort of ignorant apartheid state standard that we expect from Black Lives Matter and the Jew killers of the Middle East. When Candace implied that Israel was engaged in genocide for defending itself against the atrocities committed by Hamas, that's the kind of genocidal lie we expect to hear from Hamas. Again, it's not genocide. This is war, right? They're not, genocide is targeting an ethnicity. But when one country or one group of people attacks you and you attack back, that's not genocide because you're not targeting them because of their ethnicity, right? You're targeting them because they attacked you, right? And so the intention is everything. And the way to end the war is not by counting numbers. How much is the proportionate response? Like these fucking idiots. The way war ends is when one side, the losing side, surrenders. That's how you know the war is over, right? And Hamas has to surrender. They're the one keeping this war going. They're getting their asses kicked, but because they can hide out in tunnels and the leaders are hiding out in Qatar and other countries, Egypt, with their billions of dollars, they're like, let the Palestinian civilians fucking die. Like it's insane. That's not genocide. These people are fucking lying. Right. Um, and just to clarify this, um, Candace Owens said that, oh, the Arabs are in the Muslim quarter in Jerusalem. That's where they chose to be. They're not limited to being there. She's like, oh, they're segregated. That's apartheid. She's like, fucking idiot. Like, how stupid. Like, you're gonna go talk about something you know fucking nothing about and spread lies. How irresponsible of you, stupid asshole. Stupid fucking asshole. And when she suggested that to remove the Hamas auxiliary students for Justice Palestine from campuses would increase anti-Semitism. That's what we expect to hear from New York Times. Oh, don't do anything against the hateful stuff because it will just increase. Like, shut up. That's what people said about Hamas. Like, oh, if you kill Hamas, there'll just be more of them. Oh, really? Oh, that's how we defeated ISIS? Do we take that approach with the Nazis? Oh, don't attack any Nazis because there'll just be more of them. We'll just leave them alone. Like it's insidious. The reason why I'm reacting this way is because these people know what they're saying is wrong, and their intention is the opposite of what they're saying. Right? They want these things to thrive. They want Hamas to thrive. They want the anti-Israel voices to thrive, and they're saying the opposite. Oh, if you attack them, they'll just become even more. They'll become even stronger. It's like, no, that's not the way it works. It doesn't work that way ever, right? And you can't just twist it. These people are it's malicious and it's offensive. So instead of focusing on the meaningful activism and defense of American values that brought her to our attention, Candace Owens has become obsessed with her own fame, stirring up drama to compensate for a lack of real achievement. That's true. She's just, I mean, whatever. She's a talk show host, but not even that interesting. Her comments about Israel and her promotion of people like Andrew Tate are part of a pattern. Candace tackles a subject she knows nothing about, never bothers to learn anything about it, and then rides the backlash by playing the victim to generate more fame. You can't fucking lie. You have a big platform like that. You have a responsibility. You can't just lie about shit and then just be like, oh, people are attacking me because I fucking lied about a whole goddamn people and nation. You shut the fuck up, you stupid asshole. Like, it's highly irresponsible and disingenuous to do that, right? Candace tweeted that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was clueless. She's programmed to hate Israel, and she has no idea why. Now she has become AOC, literally. Candace hates Israel for the same reason AOC does. Nothing, right? Fame. Because she hates Jews, right? Because she's friends with Kanye West, right? She proved that she knows as little about Israel as AOC does, in which she falsely claimed that the Muslim quarter in Jerusalem is the only place that Muslims are allowed to live, thus proving the Hamas canard that Israel practices apartheid. It does not. See, this is stupid lies that people believe about Israel, right? It's not apartheid. Every other Middle Eastern nation is apartheid. Israel is not fucking apartheid. You can be Arab and be in the government in Israel. You can't fucking be a Jew and be in the government in any fucking Middle Eastern nation anywhere, period, right? Like, fuck off. Israel's the only non-apartheid state in the whole entire Middle East, right? Israel's the only non-ethnically cleansed state in the whole Middle East, right? Every other single Middle Eastern country ethnically cleansed all the other minorities except for Muslims and few tiny, token, minorities who toe the line and keep their head down and just, don't rock the boat. But this is not just about Israel. It's about the survival of Western civilization, which the Islamic jihadis have been working to destroy. It's about the sad caricature that Candace has become at the end of the promise we saw in her. David Horowitz, Freedom Center, wishes to express its deep disappointment with Candace's ignorant, hateful, and morally obtuse remarks about Israel and the Jews. By the way, so it's the David Horowitz Freedom Center. She was on PragerU, and now she's in Daily Wire, all Jewish owned, right? The Jews supported her, and she fucking became a traitor. Like, this is horrible, right? Like, how dare you? The Jews gave you everything, and you fucking turn your back on them, right? But of course, it's not just about the Jews. The Jews are canaries in the mine. The West is next, and America above all. For nearly 2 decades, Israel and the West sent millions in humanitarian aid to Gaza, which was used instead by the Hamas government to build 300 miles of terrorist tunnels and turn Gaza into a military base, sending thousands of rockets into civilian areas in Israel, war crimes. And they all became billionaires, stole the money from the civilians. Goodbye, Candace. We will continue to support those who truly strive to raise up the movement and liberty in life, not selfishly tear it apart. Yeah, she's horrible. Like, fuck Candace Owens. She's a bitch. And I say that unapologetically. And there's no birth time here. This is not Leo Ascendant. Okay? No birth time. No birth time. There's no houses. When there's no birth time, there's no houses. We don't know, but we got to put something here. So anyway, this is just gonna be real quick. So Taurus, Sun, Venus, Ceres, Sedna, part of Fortune, Mercury. Obviously the main ones are Sun, Venus, Mercury, Taurus, right? So very stubborn. Right, I have my Mercury and Taurus, so we're similar in that way. It's just like Mercury and Taurus is like, bam, this is the way it is, fuck you. Like, and so don't expect to sort of reason with Candace Owens, she once she makes her mind up, that's it, it's done, it's over. That's the way it is. Um, the Sun and Venus is very nice. It's very charming. I have that as well. In Gemini. It tends to be people like it, right? It creates an air of beauty, aestheticism, especially because Venus in Taurus is very comfortable and in good dignity. Of course, Venus conjunct the Sun in Taurus or Libra, right? It does get a bit indulgent, right? Because now Venus is strong and the Sun is not as strong, right? Worse in Libra because that's where the Sun is weak and Venus is really strong. But still in Taurus, there's a lot of excessiveness. Probably love of money, love of comfort, security, all these things. Obviously, the voice is activated, speaking, it would be a good thing for her. Yeah. Food. But the commentary that I just read, it did say love of fame and money. So that, there's could be something to that with this. But very stubborn, very and Taurus also has a way of breaking things down into simplistic terms and being very solid and grounded, right? Whereas when you get very philosophical and high-minded, it can sound extremely intelligent and it can be way off base. With Taurus, it's breaking it down into its constituent components and most simplistic common denominators. Therefore, it's more likely to be correct when you have planets in Taurus, right? Not always, obviously, you can be wrong with anyone. Like, obviously she's wrong about a lot of things, but when you make things simple, then you have more of a chance of finding out the errors and finding out what's right and what's wrong, because it's simple, right? She does have Jupiter in Gemini, which is good for writing and communicating and things like that. Not so good for Jupiter things, but for Gemini things, it is good, right? Jupiter and Gemini can be quite bright, right? Maybe not very religious, maybe not very God-minded, God-conscious, all that. But she does have her Mars at 0 degrees Cancer, which is interesting. And by the way, okay, so I have to go back. So Pluto is opposite her Sun and Venus, right? And so then this is a relational aspect with the opposition. And so these are kind of, especially with the Sun conjunct Venus, Venus is very strong. This is more like the kind of relationships that power, right? Scorpio, right? Like Pluto and Scorpio. It's retrograde, but I mean it always will be in the opposition to the Sun. But anyway, it shows that she finds herself in relationship to powerful people, and she does. She's like whether it's Kanye West, Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro, whoever else, Jeffrey Prager. She finds herself in relationship with very, very powerful people. Also, because Pluto has this destructive quality that it sort of lends that destructiveness into her relationships with the public, right? Or with anyone. Like anytime there's like this oppositional kind of quality, it becomes very sort of like power-ish. Power-ish, that's not really a word. Power struggles, conflicts, like domination, control, scorpionic, and destructive, potentially very deeply destructive, right? She doesn't engage lightheartedly. Everything's very like with very, very heavy stakes with Candace Owens, and that's represented here with this opposition to Pluto and Scorpio. And then again, and then we have multiple things going on. So we have this Mars in Cancer conjunct Chiron, but Mars in Cancer, as we know, is debilitated, and it's at 0 degrees, so that's even worse. But then we have Saturn in Capricorn, right? And here's where it gets tricky, right? Because Saturn in Capricorn is in such good dignity, Mars in Cancer is not, right? So in some ways, she has a lot of discipline and hard work and ability to be very fair, balanced as a sort of authority, good judgment. We see that a lot, and that's what carried her very far. Saturn is trining the Sun, Venus. So that's a strong major asset, along with Neptune and Uranus. And that might change the Saturn a bit, the integrity, especially Uranus, because I mean Saturn's really strong in Capricorn, but Uranus will tend to soften Saturn's hard factor, hardness. And Uranus will tend to also make it quite rebellious as well. But also the opposition to, it's not fully an opposition, it's not a tight opposition, but Mars in Cancer, I mean, just ask yourself this question, like if Mars is her fighting style, how much integrity is there with her fighting style, right? Not a lot. Okay, so Mars in Cancer can be violent, it can be aggressive, it can be hypersexual. I'm not saying she's hypersexual. The Saturn probably prevents her from that side of thing, but when she attacks, it's not necessarily very kosher, let's say. Like it's she's vicious. She can be nasty and she can be underhanded, right? And so there's this kind of duality there where she can be really like she can go for the jugular. I mean, that's one of the things with Mars and Cancer. It's not really, it doesn't really like to follow any sort of rules, morality, codes of conduct. It's not a well-trained Mars. It's more like just get the job done by any means necessary. It's kind of a terrorist Mars, if you ask me, right? It's sort of like if Capricorn Mars is like the well-trained soldier, Mars and Cancer is sort of like the terrorist Mars. It'll just like it's underhanded, it's conniving, it's not honorable. It'll just do whatever it needs to do to just fucking slice your throat, right? Um, it'll yeah, it's like it's break a beer bottle on the bar and just like fucking slash till the other person's dead. That's the kind of energy that Mars and Cancer has, right? Um, Chiron, I don't know if that's either helping or hurting it. I don't know. Maybe it adds a touch of insecurity, so maybe it makes it worse because if there's the element of rejection there. Um, possibly. Her moon's in Aquarius, which is definitely adds a lot to her thinking capacity, her bright mind. She is bright. I'm not gonna deny that. She's very intelligent. No doubt about that. And that ties into our Jupiter in Gemini. I mean, it's not exactly trine by degree, but same trine by sign, and that's good, right? So very intelligent, intellectual. Uh, there's this square, a loose square between the sun and the moon, also 10 degrees apart. Um, and Venus as well. And so that's going to add that a bit of the tension that we get from her, that hardness, right? And I have Sun Moon Square, so you get that with me also, right? Sun Moon Square, they're not the smoothest people, right? There's a bit of tension and aggression in there. Right? Also, she has South Node in Virgo, North Node in Pisces, and so she's 1989. So forgive me, how old is she? So she's uh so um sorry, 09, 10, 19, 20, so 29, wait, 19 she would be 30, 2019 she would be, no, 2019 she'd be 20. She's so fucking young. Oh my God. No, wait a minute. 2019, okay, yeah, 89, so 30. And then so 30, 31, 32, 33. Yeah. So she's 33, I guess. So she still has like 10 years before she moves into her North Node. But North Node in Pisces is going to be a great departure from everything she's into now. I mean, this could be more movies. It could be more spiritual. It could be something foreign and exotic. It could be esoteric. We don't know what house it's in, so we're not looking at that. But it's also less conducive to this kind of like um kind of stuff that she does now, which is very Virgo, like the talking, the editorial, it's media like, and that's very departure from Pisces is a departure from that. It's much more imagination, creative. Maybe she could be in movies, I don't know. It's not this very heady intellectualism that she's doing now. In other words, she's going to change, right? She's going to become more Piscean, and so less like factual, dealing with all this sort of stuff that she's dealing with, and much more kind of nebulous Piscean type stuff. Perhaps even religion, who knows? Although Jupiter and Gemini, probably not. Um, but anyway, yeah. So um it's interesting. It's interesting. Um, Without the houses, there's only so much I can say. I mean, this Saturn with combined with Neptune and Uranus is quite I mean, so Saturn's very scientific. Neptune is very creative, imaginative. I mean, really this is very creative for in a very grounded Saturnian way. So this would be like good for like creativity in business, right? Because you have the Neptune and Uranus, which radicalizes it and takes it outside of the box, makes it very creative. And then Saturn is very hardworking, Capricorn, very materialistic and kind of thing. So it's like, business creativity and stuff like that. Radical departure from the norms in that sort of thing. But also, I really wanted to point out that this Mars is that like there's this sort of like um brawler type energy that she has, especially with this Taurian energy, and then this Mars in Cancer. It's like you piss her off, it's really it's not going to be above boards, right? She could be pretty nasty. So, in any case, that was a little bit about Candace Owens and how disappointing she's become. I mean, I can't deny that I agree with some of her viewpoints, just like Andrew Tate, but like the both of them, it's like, still cringe in a lot of areas, especially like how much they fucking hate Jews. Like, how are you going to be such a bigot and then just try and make sense of everything else? It's like, kind of, it taints the whole thing. It's like Andrew Taint. Andrew Taint has tainted himself along with Candace Owens. Anyway, guys, I don't want to take too long, so that was it. Um, yeah, I'll be back again soon. Mediocre astrologer signing off. Man, he's okay. All right, guys, hit that like button, laugh it off. I'll see you again soon. Thanks, bye.